from CCK Law. I'm Michelle DeTore, a supervising agent at CCK, and I'm here with Brandon Pyra, a accredited claims agent. Today, we're going to be discussing how veterans can use secondary VA claims to work towards 100% rating. Let's start with an overview of one of my favorite topics, VA math. This is how VA combines ratings. Since this is key to understanding how one gets 100% scheduler ratings, we'd like to go over that with you. So Brandon, can you explain the idea behind VA math and why it makes reaching 100% more challenging for veterans and also sometimes a little confusing?
Definitely. So VA math is pretty confusing. So I will try to explain it in sort of simplified terms as best as I can. So VA calculates combined ratings using essentially what we've sort of coined as the diminishing method rather than simple addition, which means if you get a 10% rating for your back and a 10% rating for another condition and a bunch of 10% ratings, VA is not simply just going to combine all of those 10% ratings because VA only works on a scale from 0% to 100% disabled. So the math is in place so that way a veteran cannot necessarily have the math so that they are 120% disabled. It just doesn't really work like that. So what VA does is each disability is assessed in terms of remaining efficiency. So, for example, a veteran starts at 100% not disabled. Essentially, a veteran is whole at 100%. If a veteran receives a 20% disability rating, that leaves 80% that the veteran is not disabled. So any subsequent ratings or service-connected disabilities that a veteran is awarded after that initial 20%, leaving them 80% not disabled, VA will then apply further ratings to that remaining 80% that a veteran is not disabled. So it is a little bit confusing. So if you do have questions or really just kind of want to get a little bit more information or kind of test it out to see how VA math really works with your service-connected conditions, because this is so confusing, you can do it by hand, but in the modern day age of technology, we also have a disability calculator on our CCK website at cck-law.com. But in other words, in VA's mind, each additional disability is less disabling because the veteran was already somewhat disabled to start, sort of like the previous example I had used where the veteran was afforded a 20% rating, and then he or she is now 80% not disabled. As a result, it gets more and more difficult to achieve higher ratings by combining disability ratings, the more ratings or conditions that the veteran has.
Yeah, and you'll hear us plug our calculator on our website a lot because the more conditions you have, the harder it gets to do it by yourself and with just a calculator that is not equipped to do that. So you'll hear us plug that a lot. So we've established that it's difficult, but not impossible, especially if your service-connected disabilities are causing new disabilities to develop. So Brandon, what is secondary service connection? Can you walk that through with us?
Absolutely. So secondary service connection allows VA disability compensation for conditions that are caused or worsened by an already service-connected or primary condition. So for example, service-connected PTSD can lead to hypertension in some circumstances. Or service-connected diabetes may result in a number of complications up to and including peripheral neuropathy or even kidney disease. So although in that example of diabetes and peripheral neuropathy or kidney disease secondary to diabetes, the kidney disease in and of itself is not directly related to the veteran's time in service. The veteran did not necessarily incur the kidney disease because of their time in service. However, they are service-connected for diabetes, which is directly related to his or her time in service. And that diabetes condition that was incurred because of their time in service has caused a number of other conditions. In this case, we're talking about kidney disease. So kidney disease in this example would be secondarily service-connected because of or by way of the already service-connected primary diabetes. Basically, secondary claims allow veterans to connect additional conditions that may have developed over time, which is a result of their already service-connected disabilities, which can then increase their total combined rating.
Okay. So let's say that a veteran wants to file for secondary service connection. Can you walk us through how they would do that?
Sure thing. So it's actually easier than you might think. It's very similar, if not exactly the same as filing your initial claims. The same way you would file initial claims on a VA Form 21-526EZ, you would do the same thing for a secondary service-connected condition or the condition that you're seeking service connection for on a secondary basis. Same thing with filing for your regular primary disability. You must have a current diagnosis for the secondary condition, and you must have or show that there is a nexus between your primary service-connected condition and the secondary condition. So essentially, you need to make sure you have a diagnosis, then also provide VA with some sort of medical records or some sort of medical determination that your secondary service-connected condition, at least in some way, shape, or form, is related to that primary condition you're already service-connected for.
That's great. I think also something to be mindful of is that some secondary conditions are supposed to be considered by VA as within the scope of the issue on appeal. So if you're ever unsure and ready to file, it may be a good time to reach out to a VA accredited representative. So Paiva, what happens once a secondary service connection is granted?
Very similar to filing for a regular claim for disability. You'll go through the rating process. VA assigns a disability percentage based on the severity of the secondary condition using the diagnostic codes from VA's rating schedule. The VA will then calculate the new rating using VA math, as we sort of discussed at the opening of this video. And a little commercial break here. If you'd like to estimate your rating, you can use CCK's VA disability calculator to have VA math done for you automatically. Like I had sort of said at the beginning of the video, and as Michelle had said, and probably mention it again, the math is confusing. So to make it easier on you, or even if you believe or want to do some background research on a condition that you're filing for service-connected disability, you can kind of figure out or kind of anticipate what VA might rate your condition at based on your medical records and using the diagnostic code that coincides with that condition. And you can sort of predict or use the VA disability calculator to help kind of guide you to see what you might expect for a combined disability rating from VA.
So what happens if VA math results in the veteran falling short of the 100% disability rating, but the veteran still feels they cannot get or keep a job due to their disabilities?
That's a very good question, and really something that is pretty common because, as we've discussed, it is pretty difficult to get to a scheduler 100% rating because of how VA math sort of works. So what you can do is you might want to consider filing a claim for TDIU, otherwise known as a total disability rating based on individual unemployability. If you have any questions, feel free to contact CCK Law for a free case evaluation if you'd like some help with this, because individual unemployability can be a challenging claim to make. We also have a number of other pieces of resources and available blog posts on our CCK website, cck-law.com/blog. So you can kind of check out that stuff too, where we have specific videos that talk about TDIU, the forms that you need to file, what evidence needs to show. So because it is difficult and challenging to get to a scheduler 100% rating, you might want to exhaust maybe considering TDIU.
So to sum everything up, please do consider filing claims for secondary disabilities. These are entirely valid and eligible for compensation. If you aren't sure whether your secondary disabilities are caused by your service-connected disability, consider talking to your healthcare provider and a VA accredited representative. But remember that VA math can be tricky. So you can use CCK's VA disability calculator to estimate your combined rating. It's what we use and it works great. While on our website, you can also research your conditions and check out our new CCK VA Claim Builder. Please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and most importantly, have a wonderful day. Thank you.